Passion, the passion of saints and sages, the road of the wise and pure, the highway, along which is the savors and a truth, and which all savors. The common also walk, such is the subject of this book. Such is the high and holy theme which the author briefly expounds in these pages. Passion is the lowest level of human life. None can descend lower, and its chilling swims and concealing darkness creep, and the cruel, the creatures of the sunless world, lust, hatred, anger, covetousness, pride, vanity, greed, revenge, envy, backbiting, lying, thief, deceit, treachery, cruelty, suspicion, jealousy, such are the brutal forces and the blind, unreasoning impulses that inhabit the underworld of passion and Rome, devouring and the devoured, in the rank premature jungles of the human mind. They also dwell the dark ship of remorse, pain and suffering, and the drooping form of grief, sorrow, and the lamentation. In the dark world, the unwise live and die, not knowing the peace of purity, nor the joy of that divine light, which forever shines above them and for them. Yet it shines in vain so long as it falls on unseen eyes, which look not up. Look not up, but are ever bent earthward, fleshward. But the wise look up, they are not satisfied with this passion world. They bend their steps towards the upper world of peace, the light and glory of which they behold, at first far off, but nearer, and with ever increasing splendor as they ascend. None can fall lower than passion, but all can rise higher. And that lowest place where further descent is impossible, all who move forward must ascend. The ascending pathway is always at hand, near, and easily accessible. It is the way of self-in orders to accuse them of it and to talk about it. The man who continually dwells upon the selfishness in orders will not thus overcome his own selfishness. Not by accusing others do we come out of selfishness, but by purifying ourselves. The way from passion to peace is not by hurling painful charges against others, but by overcoming oneself, by eagerly striving to subdue the selfishness of others. We remain passion-bound. By patiently overcoming our own selfishness, we ascend into freedom. Only he who has conquered himself can subdue others, and he subdues them, not by passion, but by love. The foolish man accuses others and justifies himself, but he who, becoming wise, justifies others and accuses himself. The way from passion to peace is not in the outer world of people. It is in the inner world of thoughts. It does not consist in altering the deeds of others. It consists in perfecting one's own deeds. Frequently, the man of passion is most eager to put others right. But the man of wisdom puts himself right. If one is anxious to reform the world, let him begin by reforming himself. The reformation of self does not end with the elimination of the sensual elements only. That is its beginning. It ends only when every vain thought and selfish aim is overcome. Short of perfect purity and wisdom, there is still some form of slavery or folly which needs to be conquered. Passion is at the base of the structure of life. Peace is at its crown and the summit. Without passion to begin with, there would be no power to work with, and no achievement to end with. Passion represents power, but a power misdirected. Power producing hurt instead of happiness. It's the forces, while instruments of destruction in the hands of the foolish, or instruments of preservation in the hands of the wise. When curbed and concentrated and beneficially directed, they represent working energy. Passion is the flaming sword which guards the gates of paradise. It shuts out and destroys the foolish. It admits and preserves the wise. He is a foolish man who does not know the extent of his own ignorance, who is the slave of thoughts of self, who obeys the impulses of passion. He is the wise man who knows his own ignorance, who understands the emptiness of selfish thoughts, who masters of impulses of passion. The fool descends into deeper and deeper ignorance. The wise man ascends into a higher and higher knowledge. The poor desires, suffers, and dies. The wise man aspires, rejoices, and lives. With my internal wisdom and the mental gaze raised and upward, the spiritual warrior perceives an upward way and fixes his attention upon the heights of peace. Aspiration. With the clear possession of one's own ignorance comes the desire for enlightenment, and thus in the heart is born aspiration. The rapture of saints. Okay. Temptation. Transmutation. Transcendences. When a man passes from the dark stage of temptation to the more enlightened stage of transformation, he has become a saint. A saint is one who perceives the need for self-purification, who understands the way of self-purification, and who has entered the way and is engaged in perfecting himself. But there comes in a time in the process of transmutation when, with the decreases of evil and accumulation of good, there dawns in the mind a new vision, a new consequences, a new man. When this is reached, the saint has become a sage. He has passed from the human life to the divine life. He is born again, and there begins for him a new round of experiences. He was a new power, a new universe opens out before his spiritual gaze. This is the stage of transcendence. This I call the transcendent life, when there is no more consciousness of sin, when anxiety and doubt and grief and sorrow are ended, when lust and animosity and anger and envy no more possess the thoughts, when there remains in the mind no vestige and the blame towards others for one's own condition, and when all conditions are seen to be good because they are the result of causes, so that no event can afflict the mind, then transcendence is attained, then the limited personality is outgrown, and the divine life is nigh, evil is transcended, and the good is all in all. The divine consequences is not an intensification of the human. It is a new form of consciousness. It springs from the old, but it is not continuance of it. Born of the lower life in sin and the sorrow, After a period of painful torment, it yet transcends the life and has no part in it. Just as the perfect flower transcends the seed from which it sprang, as passion is the keynote of the self-life, so serenity is the keynote of a transcendent life. Rising into it, man is lifted above disharmony and disturbance. When perfect good is a higher order of mortality than a new form of perception, and at last a comprehensive understanding of universal moral causation. And this morality, this vision, and this understanding constitute the new consequences, the divine life. The transcendent man is who is above and beyond the domain of self. He has transcended evil and lived within practice and the knowledge of good. He is like a man who, having long looked up the world with darkened eyes, is now restored to sight, and sees things as they are. Evil is an experience and not a power. If it were an independent power in the universe, it cannot be transcended by anything. But though not real as a power, it is real as condition, as experience, for all experience is all of nature of reality. It is the state of ignorance, of underdevelopment, and as such it recedes and disappears before the light of knowledge, as the intellectual ignorance of a child vanishes before the gradually accumulating learning, or as darkness is dissolved before the rising light. The painful experience of evil pass away as the new experience of good enter into the possessive field of consciousness. And what are the new experiences of good? There are many, and beautiful, such as the joyful knowledge of the freedom from sin. They are the absence of remorse and the deliverance from all torments and temptation. There are ineffable joy in conditions and circumstances which formerly caused deep affliction and imprevisiousness to be hurt by the actions of others. There are great patience and a sweetness of character, serenity of mind under all circumstances, and emancipation from doubt, fear, and anxiety. There are freedom from all dislike, envy, and animosity, with the power to feel and act kindly towards those who see fit and constitute themselves as one's enemies or opponents. There are the divine power to give blessings and for curses, and to return good for evil, a deep knowledge of the human heart, with a perception of its fundamental goodness, and the insight into the love of moral causation and the mental evolution of beings, with a prophetic foresight of the sublime good that awaits in humanity. Above all, there a glad rejoicing in the limitation and importance of evil, and in the eternal supremacy and the power of good. All these and the calm, strong, far-reaching life that these imply and contain are the rich experiencing of the transcendent man, along with all the new and varied resources, the vast powers, and the quickened abilities, and enlarge the capacities to spring to life in the new consequences. Transcendence is a surpassing virtue. Evil and the good cannot dwell together. Evil must be abandoned, left behind, and transcended before good is grasped and known. When good is practiced and fully comprehended, then all the afflictions of the mind are at an end. For that which is accompanied with pain and sorrow, and the consciousness of evil is not so accompanied in the consciousness of good. Whatsoever Happens to the good man cannot cause him to perplexity or sorrow, for he knows his causal issue, knows the good which it is obtained to accomplish in himself, and so his mind remains happy and serene. Though the body of the good man may be bound, his mind is free, though it is bewinded, wounded, and in pain, joy and peace abide within his heart. His spiritual teacher had a pupil who was apt and earnest. After several years of learning and practice, the pupil one day offered a question for discussion which his master could not answer. After days of deep meditation, the master said to his pupil, I cannot answer to the question which you have asked. Have you any solution to offer? Whereupon the pupil formulated the reply to the question which he had propounded. The master then said to him, You have answered that which I could not, and henceforth neither I nor any man can instruct you. For now you are indeed instructed by truth. You have soared like a kingly eagle, where no man can follow. You work. Your work is now instruct others. You are no longer the pupil, you have become a master. And looking back on a self-life which he hadn't transcended, the divinely enlightened man sees all the afflictions of that life as though his schoolmasters were teaching and leading him upward, and in the measure that the penetrated their meaning and lifted himself above them, they departed from him. Their mission to teach him having ended, they left him the triumphant master field. For the knower cannot teach the higher, ignorance cannot instruct the wisdom, evil cannot enlighten good, nor can the pupil set lessons for the master. That which is transcended cannot reach up to that which transcends us. Evil can only teach in its own sphere, where it is regarded as master, and the sphere of good it has no place and no authority. The strong traveler on the highway of truth knows there is such thing as resignation to evil. He knows only obedience to good. He who submits to an evil sin cannot overcome, and the evil must be born. Thereby acknowledges that evil is his master. It is not his master to instruct him, but to bind and oppress him. The lover of good cannot also be a lover of evil, nor can he, for one moment, admit its ascendancy. He elevates and glorifies good, not evil. He loves the light and darkness. When a man makes an true his master, he abandons error. As he transcends error, he becomes more like his master, until at last he becomes one with the truth, teaching it as a master by his actions and reflected in his life. Transcendence is not an abnormal condition. It belongs to an orderly process of evolution, though as yet few have reached it, or will come into it in the course of the ages. And he who ascends into his sins no more, sorrows no more, and is no more troubled. Good are his thoughts, good are his actions, and the good is in tranquil tender of his way. He has conquered himself and has submitted to truth. He has mastered evil and has comprehended good. Henceforth, neither man nor books can instruct him, for he is instructed by spring good and the spirit of truth.